As a disclaimer, this video will focus on some heavy topics including PTSD, suicide, and many of the scenes I include have violent content within. I am not a licensed psychologist because I am in college studying for my degree. This video is only speculation and should be considered for entertainment purposes only. I remember first watching episode 8 of Evangelion in 2021. This marked the entrance of the second child, Asuka Langley Soryu, pilot of Unit 2. Evangelion focuses on teenager Shinji Ikari piloting a giant mech known as an Evangelion to protect the city of Tokyo 3 from attacks from angels. Shinji is assisted by two other pilots who are crucial to the plots, Rei Ayanami and Asuka herself. So, why is Asuka, a main character, introduced so late? Because Asuka is Shinji's personal challenge as a character. If Shinji is passive and laid back, Asuka is aggressive and ambitious, and her arrival signifies a paradigm shift for Evangelion as a whole. Asuka's direct relationships with every character change the very essence of the show's narrative as it slowly changes its focus from an episode-to-episode confrontation with the angels to a more philosophical narrative, dealing with themes of individuality, consciousness, and what it means to be human. Conforming to the series' changes, Asuka's haughty, fiery persona is peeled back to reveal a girl racked by trauma. She has created a fragile identity revolving around her status as the pilot of Evangelion Unit 2, and when her pride as a pilot is ripped away from her, her repressed trauma bubbles to the surface, revealing a girl who struggles between craving connection and isolation. When Asuka was 5 years old, her mother Kyoko was hospitalized due to a contact experiment. This experiment is where the soul of the subject is implanted inside of an Evangelion. Due to this, Kyoko lost part of her mind. Due to her psychological trauma, she began to believe a doll was Asuka. As a result of Asuka's father's infidelity towards her, along with other factors, she ends up taking her own life. Asuka, naive of the situation, ran to her mother's hospital room to inform her that she had been chosen as the pilot of Evangelion Unit 2, only to find her mother and the doll hanging from the ceiling. Due to the nature of this event, it is likely, upon analysis, to diagnose Asuka with post-traumatic stress disorder. Under the requirements for diagnosis of PTSD listed in my favorite book, the DSM-5-TR, Asuka would fall under number 2 of Section A, post-traumatic stress disorder in individuals older than 6 years, witnessing in person the events as it occurred to others. It is showcased in Asuka's penultimate episode in the series, episode 22. At some point before her death, Kyoko asks Asuka to die with her.
Die with me. If that's what you want, I'll die with you, Mama. Just please don't stop being my mother.
When she finds her mother's body and the doll hung in her place, she develops not only an intense fear of dolls, but a specific fear of dying for another. Later on, Asuka's stepmom gives her a stuffed doll, which she rips up. Under Section B of PTSD in individuals older than 6 years, this would be a marker of number 4, being intense or prolonged psychological distress at exposure to internal or external cues that symbolize or resemble an aspect of the traumatic events. In the same episode, Asuka's memories of her mother's suicide are only uprooted by a mental attack from the angel Ariel. It is proven that she was able to successfully repress these memories when she pleads with the angel to not uncover them.
Don't make me remember that! I wanted to forget those things! Don't uncover them! I don't want those terrible memories anymore! Stop this, please! Stop it now!
Under Section C of PTSD in individuals older than 6 years, this would be a marker of number 1, being avoidance of or efforts to avoid distressing memories, thoughts, or feelings about or closely associated with the traumatic events. In episode 9, Asuka sleepwalks into bed with Shinji Ikari. he witnesses her having a negative dream about her mother. Hence, she starts to cry in her sleep while muttering her name. Under Section B, PTSD in individuals older than 6 years, symptom number 2 is showcased: recurrent distressing dreams in which the content and/or effect of the dream are related to the traumatic events. With these DSM-5 descriptions outlined, I will assess whether or not Asuka Langley Soryu from Neon Genesis Evangelion can be diagnosed with PTSD. For this video essay, I will be following the ADV dub of Evangelion, which was the original English dub of the anime that aired in America. Before Kyoko's death, Asuka is said to have been neglected by both of her parents. Kyoko devoted her life to research, despite wanting to be close to Asuka. After the contact experiment, Asuka's father and Kyoko's doctor conclude that she may feel guilty for not spending time with Asuka before she lost her mind, implying that she is now taking the time to be close to the doll she views as Asuka. After Kyoko became mentally broken, her husband moved on to another woman, who happened to be the doctor who was taking care of Kyoko. Asuka is shown to be severely distressed by her mother's hospitalization. She longingly watches through the window as her mother gives the doll the love that she never received. Kyoko does not recognize Asuka at all.
Asuka, darling, Mama cooked your favorite for you. Oh no, you mustn't complain about what you like and dislike, or that girl over there will laugh at you.
In the same scene, Asuka's father and Kyoko's doctor are heard speaking in another room where Asuka can hear them talking about Kyoko's symptoms. They proceed to have sex while Asuka overhears, implying they either don't care or aren't aware that Asuka is there. While I plan to stick to the ADV dub of Evangelion, the original subtitled version of the anime showcases this scene better.
私だって医師の前にただの人間、一人の女ですわ。
Afterwards, Asuka's mother passes away due to suicide. Asuka vows to never cry or rely on others to get what she wants. Her father, shortly thereafter, marries the doctor who cared for Kyoko. As shown in episode 25, the one redeeming thing Asuka's family does for her is try to treat her trauma. There are no other known accounts of Asuka seeking treatment for PTSD, because if she does have it, she is likely largely unaware. It seems that her stepmother, who was a doctor, tried to treat her after the incident with her mother. It is unknown what the treatment involved, but because Kyoko was hospitalized due to her mental health, there is reason to assume that her stepmother is a psychologist of some kind. Her stepmother ends up quitting the treatment. Again, last time, I will use the original subtitled version for this because the ADV dub has a weird voice filter that makes it hard to hear the conversation.
あの子、苦手なんです。
弱い人は医者の君らしくないな。
医者も人間ですのよ。前にも言いましたけど。
しかし、君のような女性が子供相手に。
妙に大人で、張り詰めた絶対的な拒絶があって、時々怖いんです。あなた、そう感じたことありません？
いや、とにかく君はアスカの母親になったんだ。
その前に、私はあなたの妻になったの。
同時にだ。
ええ、社会的立場からはそうですわ。あなたはあの子の父親を辞められないけれど、私はいつでもあの子の母親を辞めることができますね。
それはそうだ。
Due to Asuka's later repression of the trauma, she likely received no further treatment and the trauma became repressed. It is highly likely she did not have the time to seek treatment either, because Asuka is described as a child prodigy, earning an unspecified university degree at only 13 years old. She is also known to have been training with her Evangelion since she was at most 4 years old. Her relationship with her family is shown to have strained over time in the show. She gets a call from her stepmother in episode 22. Much of the translated German implies that all of the conversation she has with her stepmother is very surface level. When she speaks with Shinji after the call, this implies that she has not grown very close to her family over the years.
I wish I talked to my family.
It's totally overrated, and it's all just for show. She's not my real mother anyway.
In summary, Asuka was heavily neglected from a young age. She witnessed her father's infidelity, her mother's mental degradation, and her suicide at a young age. Upon Asuka's entry into the main series, she is a 14-year-old redhead with dark blue eyes. By the time of the series, she quickly gains popularity at school due to her perceived exotism as a native of Germany, born to an American father and German mother. Like most characters in Eva, she is notably skinny. However, she seems to have hit puberty earlier. Upon meeting with Masato again in episode 8, she says,
Goodness, you've grown some, haven't you? Uh-huh. And I'm not just taller, my figure's filled out as well.
A notable attribute is that she ties her red hair up with the Evangelion's interface headset. No other pilot displays this, helping to show that Asuka feels highly connected to her Eva in a way that other pilots may not. Her sexual orientation is heterosexual. Asuka has an attraction to men who are often older than her, like Ryoji Kaji. She has a distaste towards most women in her life, often seeing them as adversaries. When she arrives in Tokyo 3, she accrues a social support system rather quickly. Kaji, her previous guardian, who has come to Tokyo 3 with her from Germany, Misato Katsuragi, Shinji's guardian, who also takes Asuka in to live with her, Shinji himself, who she harbors an underhanded romantic attraction for, and Hikari Horaki, the class representative of Class 2A. Hikari is perhaps her closest friend, and she is the one Asuka goes to when she is at her lowest point in the series. This could have to do with the fact that Hikari often enables Asuka's distorted thinking. By this time, Asuka has created a shaky identity built around her status as an Eva pilot.
Mama, they chose me! I'm an elite pilot now! I'm the best in the whole world now! Everybody's so nice to me now, I don't feel lonely anymore!
Throughout the course of Evangelion, Asuka boasts herself as the best Eva pilot, despite suffering loss after loss. She is notably frustrated when Shinji or Rei have to step in to assist with missions. This is strengthened by her feelings of inadequacy peeking out in select moments. One of the most important symptoms for those with lasting PTSD is expressed within Asuka's character. Some of the symptoms for arousal and changes in reactivity outlined in the textbook Essentials of Understanding Abnormal Behavior are feelings of irritability that may result in verbal or physical aggression, engaging in reckless or self-destructive behaviors, and hypervigilance. There is one scene that highlights these qualities about Asuka at their worst in episode 22. It also highlights qualities relating to intrusion symptoms and avoidance. The scene starts after Asuka is experiencing plummeting synchronization levels and loss after loss on the battlefield. She enters the elevator at Nerve HQ, which Rei also rides. This scene is infamous because the same shot of Rei and Asuka sitting awkwardly in the elevator goes on for about a minute. Rei, to Asuka, is a literal doll, who would do whatever her creator willed her to. She's basically a living version of her trauma. This cuts deep into her trauma of dolls, but keep in mind it is not just dolls themselves, it is more what they represent. An empty vessel that is created and destroyed according to its creator's desires. I believe that there are two specific moments where Asuka's PTSD was truly triggered. It could be debated that it was triggered first when the actual event happened. As a consequence, Asuka buried most of her emotions and created her new identity based on the praise that she gained from others. While she still has many symptoms of PTSD, they are more mild throughout the show before the identity she has created begins to slip. The second time is when her mind is attacked by the angel Ariel. Much of this scene is framed as a sexual assault, another common cause for PTSD. The combination of mental defiling and the rediscovering of her mother's suicide fully cripples Asuka. In the next episode, Asuka runs away from home, and she stays at Hikari's house.
She skips school, she won't go home. All she does is play those games. Hi? Yes? Can I sleep here? Yeah. When I didn't win with my Ava, I lost whatever value I might have had. I hate everything. And I hate myself.
Sometime later, she is found at her lowest point. She lies, nearly lifeless, in a bathtub drained of water with blood at the bottom. Since her clothes have been folded, and Asuka is later seen with bandages on her wrists, along with the alleged blood at the bottom of the bathtub, the implication is that she has attempted suicide.
Incorrect. It is not a return to nothingness. It is merely a return to a state of beginning. It is no less than a return to the primal womb that we lost so long ago. Souls and minds will become one, attaining eternal balance. The final goal is nothing.
Human instrumentality is the final goal of Evangelion. It was what the shadowy organization known as Zeal, who watched over Nerve, was pursuing. In human instrumentality, every single human's consciousness is fused into one. Because their desired outcome is threatened, Zeal attacks Nerve HQ with the intention of killing everybody on sight, including the Evangelion pilots. Asuka, for her own protection, is placed at the bottom of a lake inside of her Evangelion Unit 2. When missiles rain overhead, she lays in her Ava, her life actually in danger, whispering and pleading to herself that she doesn't want to die. Unfortunately, her realization is too late. While she fights valiantly against the Ava series, she ends up losing and being killed by all 9 of them, despite fighting hard to resist death. When instrumentality commences, Asuka is instrumentalized along with the rest of the main characters, meaning she shares a mind. Shinji stops instrumentality, realizing that he wants to give living another chance, that he wants to have attachment with others and give himself the chance to be loved. Since Asuka and Shinji are the first who are seen to have decided to leave instrumentality, it can be concluded that through Asuka's revelations, she wants to live and to form meaningful connections with others. Perhaps this is her first step in healing. Evangelion does a great job of portraying the symptoms and causes of PTSD in the scenes that show Asuka. Something that is relevant is how her symptoms go undiagnosed and unnoticed by her until she hits her breaking point. In an article published by Banyan Treatment Center, it says, "Many people don't fully understand this condition and are therefore unlikely to either empathize or sympathize with those who suffer from it. Individuals who support PTSD stereotypes are often uneducated about this condition. PTSD can be difficult to manage. Plenty of people don't realize they're suffering from PTSD until they hit a breaking point. Until then, they may act out in ways that may seem dramatic to others." This is seen in Evangelion, where much of Asuka's acting out is often overlooked or criticized. In terms of stereotyping, Asuka falls into a couple stereotypes associated with PTSD. The first is her identity as a woman. PTSD, according to the DSM-5, is more prevalent among women than men. PTSD for women ranges from 8% to 11%, and 4.1% to 5.4% in men. Some of the risk for women tends to connect to the greater likelihood of exposure to sexual assaults and interpersonal violence. Also seen with Asuka, PTSD is associated with suicidal thoughts, attempts, and death, especially among adolescents. There is a relationship between PTSD and suicidal thoughts or behavior. Some inaccuracies I notice are more about how her PTSD is shown to the viewer. It can be inferred that it still affects her as a teenager, but the moments early on in the show are sparse, and may make the watcher question if she has the disorder. Not everybody may experience symptoms the same way, and Asuka's experience itself is very unique. One thing that is common is a fear relating to the battlefield, while Asuka has no problem risking her life against angels many times in the series. Stigmas relating to PTSD that are portrayed in Evangelion is how Asuka is treated by adults. Many of the adult role models do not fully succeed as caretakers. For example, during a steam bath in episode 10, Misato and Asuka are able to open up to each other.
You know my past. About everything, don't you? Well, it's part of my job. It's all ancient history now. We really ought to let it go.
I think that Evangelion is a must-watch for anybody studying psychology who thinks it would interest them. It has many psychological and philosophical themes. Many of the characters struggle with mental blocks and disorders, and every character has an underlying need for closeness that is relatable for most. If you have ever been lonely, there is a guarantee that you will resonate with at least one character. Despite many dark themes within the show, the fact that Asuka and Shinji choose to live proves that there is hope.